Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome from Germany, Timo Boll. And please welcome from China, Zhu. And your officials, the umpire from Austria, Boll. And the assistant umpire from Bahrain, Ladies and gentlemen, it is the men's singles final at the Open 2011. It is Timo Boll against Zhu. So first into the arena is Germany's Timo Boll, the #1 seed, ranked #1 in the world. To his credit, he has no less than 19 ITTF Pro Tour men's singles titles, and that includes the grand finals in 2004 in 2000. He won his first ITTF Pro Tour men's singles title 10 years ago when he won in Brazil. Timo Boll, the world #1. And he faces the left-handed pedal in the green shirt, who we've already seen in action in the men's doubles events. He faces Zhu, currently ranked number 8 in the world. He won his first ITTF Pro Tour men's singles title just over 1 year ago when he won at the Salwa Cup Kuwait Open. But of course he is the man in form in January, the first ITTF Pro Tour tournament of the year. He won the men's singles event at the Slovenian Open, and he leads the ITTF Pro Tour men's singles standings in 2011. From China, Zhu.
So welcome to Doha, welcome to the Abdullah bin Suhaim Hall. This is the final of the men's singles, the climax of the 2011 Qatar Open. The world #1 from Germany, Timo Boll, on picture, has been in terrific form so far here in Doha. His opponent leading the Pro Tour standings is Zhu of China, the left-hander who blasted away compatriot Ma Long in the semi-finals. The atmosphere building here. You can see German flags in the stands, plenty of German fans as well. The China contingent is here. Timo Boll, the only player in the world in with a chance against the top Chinese. China have won every single final so far. The men's doubles, the women's doubles, the women's singles. Can Boll prevent a complete eclipse of the gold medals here in Qatar? It's the best of 7 games to 11 points. This is the match we've all been waiting for. There we see two of the German contingent.
2 to serve, 0-0.
First game, it is Zhu with serve. Zhu, pen holder, Boll using the shake hands grip. Both left-handed. They've played 3 times in international competition. Zhu has won all 3.
Let. Please. vertical.
Now then, that's interesting.
1-0.
Zhu Xin has been warned and asked to throw the ball up vertically.
0-2.
So an interesting development already in this final. And you can hear the support for Timo Boll in the crowd. Great rally, and Zhu Xin now with a 2-point lead in this opening game.
Fault.
Now then,
3-2.
can you believe it? A fault has been called. He was warned already, and he's being faulted for throwing the ball back. The rule says that the ball has to be thrown near vertically. That's a great shot from Zhu Xin, but strategically in the context of this match, if he's having to change his service action to satisfy the requirements of the umpire, and I have to say I'm sympathetic to the umpire because Zhu Xin does throw the ball back a bit on serve. So lots to talk about, and I'm absolutely delighted to say that alongside me in the commentary box, the former England coach. He's now the publications manager for the International Table Tennis Federation, one of the most knowledgeable people in world table tennis, Ian Marshall. And are you surprised at the decision by the umpire to fault Zhu Xin?
Well, first of all, Matthew, thank you very much for the introduction. And certainly this is, I think, a problem that's endemic in all sports. Zhu Xin's gone through the whole tournament, not being faulted. Now he's been pulled up, but just looking at that replay, that service action looks absolutely fine. But of course, as you say, they must throw the ball up and they must not throw it backwards. So the umpire has to apply the laws.
That is a brilliant counter top spin from Boll. It doesn't get much better than that, and this is such an exciting prospect, Ian, seeing one of the top Europeans challenging the best Chinese.
Well, this is exactly what we need, and great credit to Timo Boll. So very, very accurate with that last forehand topspin. And the strength of Timo Boll is the first three attacks, especially from the forehand, very strong indeed.
6-5.
And I'm sure we'll see, Matthew, as this match develops, the tried and trusted Chinese tactic against Timo Boll of playing the first ball into Boll's body, the first ball into his backhand. That's not to say that the Boll backhand is weak, it's just the forehand is so very good.
So the players take the towel. 12 points played in the opening game. Both players, I think, already finding top form, and that bodes well for this final. Zhu Xin with 2 serves to come.
Now, Matthew, both players have got very, very strong forehands, but they're totally different. Boll's is a much shorter, quicker stroke, and Zhu Xin's must be the longest forehand action in the world.
Well, very nicely exemplified in that previous rally. Zhu Xin, the follow-through, very long indeed to get the power, and look at the response from Boll, almost just the forearm and wrist.
That's right, very quick reaction as well.
Let 6-8.
Let's serve. That's another tactic, isn't it, Ian, that Boll uses. Sometimes slows down that opening topspin. More spin, less speed.
Well, more spin, less speed, as we've discussed before, Matthew, is a very, very good tactic, because then the person blocking the ball has got to guess the angle of the racket, whereas if the ball comes at pace, it's just reaction.
Well, this is bubbling and boiling nicely. Boll takes 2 on serve to get back to parity. And we really have reached the business end of this first game. Tell you what, Ian, for me, Zhu Xin really threw that last service, but I mean, look at that.
It's near, isn't it?
For me, that was even worse than the serve he was faulted on. And again. The advantage of throwing the ball back rather than up is it accelerates faster towards the racket, facilitating heavier spin. And tell you what, Ian, you can see why he was faulted, can't you, when you see those ones? He got better after the fault, threw it up more vertically.
Well, it just depends as the pressure mounts and the excitement mounts whether he could remember the laws.
Oh, and that went round the net. Boll played it on the angle, but Zhu Xin going not over the net but around it. And the player from China, the leader of the Pro Tour standings, takes the opening game, 11-8.
Interesting that the advice comes from Lu Guoliang, because Zhu Xin is a further development of the penhold grip style of play. Of course, before Lu Guoliang we had Zhang Jieliang, short pin plus just one side of the racket only, very, very quick attacking play. Then onto the scene came Lu Guoliang, who developed the topspin from the reverse side of the racket, the smooth rubber, but still used the short pimples on the forehand. Then of course came Ma Lin, he blocked with both sides of the racket, and now well, Zhu Xin is just like Wang Hao, he tends to use the backhand as though it's a shake hands grip, and very, very strong from there. But it's his forehand, it is such a long stroke. If you watch the backswing, it goes past his body. I mean, Boll can even see that racket at the end of the stroke from the other side of his body.
It's a very good point. It's a really striking technique that Zhu Xin has, and so far here it's been very effective. He's taking the open at 11-8. Keep an eye out for whether there's any more fault serves. Game 2, Boll, Germany with serve.
Another point about Zhu Xin, Matthew, is that his sideways movement, he must be the fastest in the world.
Yes, he's got terrific feet, hasn't he?
Incredibly fast.
Lovely rally, expansive top spinning on the diagonal. It was a switch from Zhu Xin there, and the mistake eventually coming from Boll on the backhand side.
Let 2-0.
That's serve.
Well, Timo Boll may be number 1 in the world, Zhu Jin's at number 8, but they played 3 times last year, and Zhu Jin won every time. So choose your statistics.
Yeah, very noticeable, wasn't it, on the head-to-head? Zhu Xin has been flying against Boll.
Stop.
Well, that's what Boll does so well. Almost always topspin on the serve, forcing the opponent to play long, which opens it up in.
That's right, but the problem Timo Boll's having here is to play the first attack with his forehand. And Zhu Jin, the penhold grip player, the penhold grip is perceived as the better grip nearer the net. And so far in this game, Zhu Jin has stopped Boll all the time playing the first topspin with the forehand. And going to the backhand, time and time again, is the Boll backhand. Now after he's played 2-3 into the backhand, then he can switch.
Well, that was an unforced error from Boll. He saw the opportunity to go with the backhand down the line and just overhit it.
But this game, I feel that Zhu Jin's in a rhythm and Timo Boll is a little bit out of tune. Again, first ball into the ball body. Time and time again the Chinese do this against Timo Boll. Now that's it, Boll could get round, play the forehand, good chance. But that's about the first time he's been able to do it this game.
He's getting pinned, isn't he, down that backhand wing. Zhu's in, often serving with no spin.
Well, that's right, he's happy for the flick, he's happy for the long return, he's happy to come over topspin to topspin. He's very confident in that area of the game.
Well, an interesting change there. Serve into the very short forehand. He's got to get motoring quick in, hasn't he, Boll?
He has to attack over the table as well with the forehand. And there we go, down the backhand, timed again. 9-5. And Lugo, Liang and Zhu Jin have watched the videos, they've done the homework, and so far Zhu Jin is following the tactics to perfection.
Well, in the traditional game, the penholder's backhand is a weakness. Goodness me, that swivel-wristed backhand was venomous. 5 game points. Only one required. Boll is being outplayed here. Zhu Jin takes the second game 11-5 and now leads in this men's singles final by 2 games to love.
Just give you one worrying thought, Matthew. You like me in Beijing in 2008. Wang Li-Chin, Wang Hao, Marlin. None of them reached the semi-finals here. Jiang Chika. Now this boy, Zhu Jin. Well, my word, what wonderful table tennis players they have.
It's just remarkable, isn't it, that on the women's and men's side, China are able to produce generation after generation of world-class players. We're looking at 2 there, Liu Guliang, the previous generation. In fact, probably 2 generations ago. Then we had the Marlin, Wang Li-Chin generation, and now we've got another superb set of young players coming through.
Well, that's right. They're always developing. They're always going forward. Of course, they had a little bit of trouble when the Europeans came on the scene, and the short pimple forehand attacking play of Zhang Jieliang was no longer winning matches for them. And of course, then they invented Kong Ling Hui, who for me was a replica of Yano Boll, and a very, very good copy indeed. And of course he won the men's singles title at the World Championships and Olympic Games. But always they're developing the sport, going to new levels. They're not standing still. Not only do they have good young players, a good new generation, but all the time there's development in the sport.
So, 3rd game then, and Zhu with serve. Seen a tackle plan executed to perfection so far by Zhu Jin, attacking the Boll backhand, but also coming up with some fireworks of his own, particularly on the forehand side. That's too good.
There we saw the advantage of the penhole grip on that third return. Watch now. There's the advantage of the penhole grip. The wrist is so flexible. Okay, Boll returned it quite fortunately, but the penhole grip with the sideways movement and this fearsome forehand, it makes Su Jin one competitor.
Well, Su Jin, I mean, he was so good in that semi-final against Ma Long. He came through against his compatriot by 4 games to love, and he's just motoring through Boll. Let's not forget that Boll's the world #1.
Also remember, Matthew, who Su Jin beat in the 2 rounds before.
Very good point.
Li Xin and Wang Hao. He hasn't come the easy way.
Nowhere to hide for Timo Boll, and unless he's able to do something different or find a bit of inspiration in, it's not looking hopeful for the pretty sizable German contingent here in the hall.
Well, absolutely, he's being given no time whatsoever.
Is there anything he can do to change this around?
Have a word with the umpire? Yes.
Some more faults.
Looks to be one of the few answers at the moment, but no, let's give Timo Boll credit. He is a man of character and a tremendous advert for table tennis, a supreme sportsman, and we must be delighted that we have such a character in our sport. Now, he has to try to get in quickly, he's to try to get in over the table, but of course now, whilst he might look quite composed, I'm sure there are doubts in his mind. For table tennis, you need good feeling to be in a good rhythm. Well, maybe his feeling's okay, but he's in no rhythm whatsoever.
Well, here's one reason why. As you said, Ian, he's just got no time at all to settle down. It's coming at him thick and fast. Su Jin, gotta say, the quality of table tennis he's displayed in this final so far, it doesn't get better. Timo Boll motored through Wu Sung-min yesterday in the quarter-final. He was in pretty good form against Zhang Yike in the semis, but he's just been totally obliterated, so far at least.
One of 2 things, the control is using near the net to stop Timo Boll playing, and then as soon as there's an opportunity, this massively long forehand and fast sideways movement has left Timo Boll stranded. Now you see the penhole grip, the flexible wrist near the net, over the table. Very, very effective indeed.
So Su Jin of China, the left-hander, the leader of the Pro Tour standings, and in the forefront of a new generation of China players. 7-game points. Don't think Boll's going to get back into this game, and I just wonder what Jörg Loskov, the coach of Boll, is going to say, because it's a long, long way back. There it is. The forehand, this time on the diagonal for a bit of variation, takes it 11 points to 4, and this very anticipated final is beginning to fizzle out, isn't it? Su Jin now leading by 3 games to love. And I mentioned, Ian, what can Jörg Loskov say? But I think you made the point, and it's a very valid point, that Boll has tried different things. He's tried tactical variety, but whatever he's tried, Su Jin has been too good.
Absolutely right. Su Jin has had the answers from point number 1. Now, you're 3 games to 0 down, you have to take some risks. You have to take some chances. When every can is to move round his backhand, plays forehand topspin, take some risks. Over the table, he's got to be looking to see if he can get the float serve, flick the ball, because as you said, Su Jin is serving a lot of balls with no spin, so that he gets the long return. But at the moment, well, this guy in the lime green shirt, he's the master.
And am I right in thinking that for the Olympic Games, in the men's singles, China can only field 2 players? So it's going to be an incredibly difficult decision for Liu
Two
Guliang.
players in the men's singles, 3 in the team, and for me, Zhu Xin is the master at doubles, and of course we have doubles in the Olympic Games.
But do you think he could be in the singles? Because it's a tough call. You've got Wang Hao.
Game,
Well, I'll ask you that
Boll
question in a sec.
Chen Chi just won the
0-0.
English Open.
So, game number 4, Boll back against the wall now, 3 games down and serving at the beginning of this 4th game. That, I mean,
Tough question. I think the accuracy of that top spin absolutely sums it up.
well, Boll gets an edge ball and Zhu Xin falls to the ground in disbelief. Just caught the edge of the table, and Zhu Xin theatricals there as he collapses to the ground, but still very much in control of this 4th game. Now then, Boll won't be thinking too far ahead. He's just trying to win each point as it comes along, but he does have a foothold now in this 4th.
Two.
Just to point out that my co-commentator Ian Marshall has just had to go back to his position. He's also the Master of Ceremonies here at the Qatar Open. Well, that speed of Zhu Xin into position so well. Boll with a good forehand into the body, but the ability of the player from China to create space for that forehand.
4-4.
Well, he just drills that straight down the line in a despairing look to the heavens. Boll didn't do much wrong there. Good serve, a good opening topspin, but the power, the audacity of the stroke making from Zhu Xin. Oh yes! What a shot, and it's just indicative of the extraordinary self-belief and the zone that Zhu Xin is in right now. Timeout called. Boll walks rather disconsolately back to Jörg Roscoff. Liu Guliang, together with Zhu Xin, has come up with a good tactical plan, but the plan means nothing if you don't have a player who can execute it. And Boll now in deep, deep trouble. It was a final that we had such high hopes for.
Time, please.
But for the neutral, hoping for a really fiercely contested match, it's not quite materialised. For those supporting Zhu Xin, however, it has been a masterclass in rapid-fire, aggressive table tennis.
6-4. Up. 6-4. 6-5.
2 points in a row for Boll after the timeout. This was a very clever backhand. It was heavy spin but low over the net. Extremely awkward for Zhu.
Six, 7.
Yep, that's fantastic.
6.
Really top draw. The movement sideways there to create the space to make the forehand. The racket head control, he seems to have it all, this boy. Let's serve.
8-6.
Oh! Best rally of the final so far. But is it too late for Boll? Oh, he's
7,
just
9.
missed what was a routine forehand topspin. Boll tied up down the backhand once again. This has been a supreme performance by Zhu Xin of China. He has dominated from first till last and now has 3 championship points.
Timeout.
Well, timeout called by Lu Guliang. Does seem to call very early timeouts, the China coach. 1 championship point saved, 2 remain. I don't think that's such a good timeout because it kind of puts pressure on his player if you're wanting to have an interruption when they're on the threshold of victory. So what a performance by Zhu Xin. Victories over Wang Liqin, Wang Hao and Ma Long to get to this stage. He's done it the hard way and he is on the verge of defeating the world #1, Timo Boll.
Ten, 8.
And he's done it. What a performance by Zhu Xin of China. He takes the 4th game 11-8 to defeat Timo Boll, world #1 of Germany, by 4 games to 0. And it is Zhu Xin who is the Qatar Open men's singles champion 2011.
For China's Zhu Xin,
disappointment for Timo Boll, but he's been outgunned, outplayed and outthought. Susan is the champion, and he takes the check for $25,000.